I will kick this off. Hello, everybody. I'm Joanna Hall. I'm the CEO of Planet Wild. We are running the Less Lawn, More Life Challenge. And hopefully, many of you are here because this week's challenge is all about observing. And as you will have noticed, we're encouraging everyone to download and use iNaturalist as the application to make those observations. And so today's office hours is going to be led by Murray Fisher, who is a partner in Planet Wild. He's our chief naturalist and also an avid iNaturalist. There is nobody in the world that knows as much or is as big of a champion and supporter of iNaturalist as Murray. And so this is going to be pretty casual. Our goal is just to get everybody really comfortable using iNat for making observations, answer any questions, and ensure that you can be out there using it so that in the second phase of this challenge, when you retake your Wildr score, we'll actually be pulling in your iNaturalist observations to feed the biodiversity portion. So it's basically enabling the score to become more accurate. So we want to make sure everyone's equipped, if they want to participate in this way, that you're able to do so. So again, what we're going to ask everyone to do, for those who just joined, we have put everybody on mute just because this is more of a meeting session, and so sometimes there's background noise. But please start answering your questions, asking your questions in the chat. And we will get to as many as we possibly can throughout this session. If we don't, we are going to be circulating FAQs. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be, as you drop in your questions towards the end of the session, unmuting you and inviting you to come up and ask your question. If you want to raise your hand, or we'll kind of call on you. And again, we're going to try to get through as many as we can. But we'll start by Murray just first giving everybody kind of an overview of iNaturalist, a tutorial, and then we'll get right into the Q&A. And also just housekeeping, because it's nice, it's a really big group, and we're all in this one meeting together. Maybe in the chat, just drop in your name, where you're zooming in from today, and your experience level with iNaturalist. Are you brand new to this, or you've been at this for a while? And lastly, because this is our second office hours, so we've been trying to optimize and make this one even more productive for you all. But last time we had some folks that were very experienced that were helping answer questions from folks that are brand new already in the chat before we could even get to them. So please feel free to jump in and answer other people's questions. And with that, I will turn it over to Murray.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Joe. Really happy to be here. As Joe said, one of my favorite things is to be able to talk to folks about my journey with iNaturalist, why I think it's important, and then how to use it to record biodiversity data in your yards. The critical thing to think about first is that iNaturalist is it's a multi-application platform that works on Android phones, it works on iPhones, it also works on your desktop computer. And importantly, it's a way for people to take photographs, actually any photographs. You can take photographs or you can upload old photographs, to have the computer image recognition suggest take a photograph of a living organism, have the computer image recognition suggest what that living organism is, and then you agree with that suggestion and it uploads it to 5 million other users. And that's a critical part that's different than a lot of any other sort of nature-based apps, is that there are 5 million users, a lot of scientists, but a lot of citizens and gardeners and just regular people who can then help you confirm the identification. And if 2 people agree on what the identification is, it goes to the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, which is in Holland and which is where all biodiversity records, the bird skins and butterfly collections, all those records from around the world are at the Global Biodiversity Information Facility in Holland. And now iNaturalist is sending more data than all institutions around the world to that facility, just by people taking photographs. It's really incredible if you think about the big goal, which is how do we make policies around our natural world if we still don't know what lives among us? And so the goal with iNaturalist is that we can identify everything, we can learn what it is, and then we can hopefully stop killing it and ideally restoring more nature. So really for me, it's just a tool to help restore, preserve more nature. And I fell in love with it personally in my backyard, where I was trying to rewild 50% of the yard, had all these different plants, had all these trees, mushrooms, dragonflies, snakes, turtles, frogs. And I realized I don't have enough guidebooks to figure out what the heck is going on here. And I just started taking pictures of things. So iNaturalist keeps that record of what you have. It helps you learn about all those things, and then it shares it with the world so that the community and scientists and policymakers can make decisions about how we manage our natural world. So that's sort of the big why iNaturalist. What I'm going to do is, the first thing is, when I was learning about iNaturalist, it feels complicated at first. The thing I would recommend is there is on the desktop, I'll show you, great tutorials, great videos that'll help teach how to use it. Because even though the premise is simple, take a picture, upload it, sometimes the technology gets in the way for different folks. And it's easier for some people than others. And we want to just try and make it as easy as possible for everybody. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen to show you what iNaturalist looks like on the desktop. And this is what I would recommend people get familiar with. So ready to go to that real quick. Here's my desktop, share. Okay, everyone see my desktop? Okay, this is my handle, Swamp Chicken. Maybe if we get to know each other, I can explain where that comes from, but otherwise I like mucking around in swamps looking for all kinds of animals and bugs and plants. Here you can follow people. It shows on the left-hand side your observations that you've made, the number of species that you've seen, identifications that you've made, because remember, it's all crowdsourced. So if someone suggests an identification, it's really nice as part of the community for you to help out and say, yes, that's a tulip poplar tree, or yes, that's some kind of fly. Annotations, I don't even know what that is. Journals, don't know list. And then followers, people who follow and get an email about what I've posted. So be careful, you might not want to do that, or you'll get a lot of emails about whatever I'm finding. The other thing to look for on this main page is on the top right here, there's an upload button. This is a really, really important way that I think is one of the easiest ways to actually upload photographs. I had a lot of old nature photographs, so I went through all my photographs. I came here, you can press upload, and you literally just choose your files and you go over to your photos over here, and look. These are actually some that I just took outside. This is my favorite wasp that happens to have just arrived. That's the great golden digger wasp. I did not know that this would be my favorite wasp. It provisions its nest with one katydid for each of its young, and then it lays an egg on that katydid. So that's a cool wasp. A little willow leaf beetle up here. Anyway, you click on, almost went down that, sorry. You click on these, you can hold like command, and you could put in hundreds of photographs this way, and then you just go down to the bottom and you go open. Well, maybe I'll do it. I'll just do it with 2 right here, actually. Let's see how this goes. So it says loading metadata. So what it does, it's loading where was the picture taken and what time was it taken. That's critical, because that for scientists means that this great golden digger wasp was here in this place at this time. You'll see it's got a little search button. You click on species name, and you can see in real time the computer suggest it. Loading suggestions, it will say, well, sure, that's in this genus Sphex, and our top suggestion is great golden digger wasp. I know that it's that, so I click on that, and then I go to the next one. Click on this, it's going to say imported willow leaf beetle. In this genus, Plagiodera, imported willow leaf beetle, click on that. This is going to say oval amber snail, I think. Yeah, oval amber snail. And in this, it probably will not get this. There's hundreds of small green caterpillars. What I would actually say here in this note is I would say on Chinese peony, because we all have non-native beautiful ornamentals in our yards, and we have a Chinese peony that has that. Oh, it's a sawfly. So that's cool. Sawfly is a wasp, is a species of wasp. That's a wasp larvae that looks like a butterfly or moth larvae. So I would say common sawflies, and then later someone who knows sawflies and knows there's probably a peony sawfly will identify that. Okay, so then I add those 4, and I just go to the top here, submit observations. That is really easy way to do it. It's at your desktop. You don't have to interact with the app at all. You just take photographs on your phone, which anybody can do, and then you upload them on your desktop. For the photographs, it's really, and then it'll show you where your observations are here. There, you see those 4 just came up. And you can see if you click on one of them, you can see a big image that I can't resist, showing a big image of that beautiful wasp. Okay. For photographs, please think about a couple things. You want to try and get the whole plant or at least a leaf in the photographs so the computer can identify it and other people can as well. You want it to be as clear as possible. The clearer it is, the more likely it is to get identified. You also want it to be centered. That helps the computer image recognition. So really clear, really centered, close-up of a leaf or the whole plant. For the insects, what I do is I try and get as close as I can with my phone, and I take several pictures, and I just upload the 1 or maybe 2 best pictures. One key there that I learned, one trick, is if you're approaching an insect, it's really hard to keep it from flying away. If they see your profile, as long as your profile gets closer to them, they'll never move. Now I've learned, you can go all the way right up to a fly. It's if your profile moves at all. If they see something like that, they'll fly away. So just a little trick to be able to get close photographs of insects. But again, any living organism, lichen or mushrooms or plants, trees, insects, birds, mammals, obviously reptiles, amphibians, all that stuff. Okay, so that is on the observations. And then as I said before, if you want help, go to this More button right here. And there's a drag down menu and you'll see Getting Started, how to sign up, make an observation, how to use the Identify page, go back, video tutorials. This how to make an observation with the iNaturalist mobile app, this first one is 100 times better than whatever I'm saying right now. So please check that out. All right, so that's how to take a photograph. That's how to upload on the desktop. The next thing I want to do is I want to show you the mobile app. And the mobile app is cool because it's a second version of their app. And the iNaturalist was created at the California Academy of Science. And when they left California Academy of Science, they wanted to make the app more sort of mainstream and accessible to more people. So this new version is that. So I'm actually going to stop sharing here. And I am going to share on my phone, so bear with me for half a second. Okay, share here, share screen, start broadcast. So now you should see my phone come up on here. There we go, look at that. Okay. This is sort of the home screen for the new iNaturalist app. It shows all of those. It shows all of the, it's actually downloading the ones that takes a little bit of time to download between, there's the sawflies and that great golden digger wasp. So you can see it all on here also. By the way, one of the cool things is, if you click on that map at the bottom, those red dots show you where that same species has been found. And if you zoom in, if you don't, just as an indication of understanding just how much I love that wasp, look at, those are all my observations of that species over the last couple of years. Anyway, scrolling down, you can see these are my observations. To the right, on the bottom right, you'll see activity. If you click on the activity button, there's 2 different kinds of notifications. There's my content. And this is, to me, really fun because this is someone else telling you, it's sort of social almost. This person added an identification to an observation of mine. So this person, J.M. Plimpton, right here, you can learn a little bit about them. Confirm that there is indeed a tulip tree. That's pretty basic, but really important. And then the notifications to the right where it says others at the top right, if you click on others, sorry, you can't see where my finger is, but if you click on others, this is the content of people who I follow. So XRIS is a photographer in Brooklyn who has thousands of species in his 50 by 100 foot backyard in Brooklyn. So if you ever feel like you don't have enough space, go ahead and check out this guy's, let's see, just to show you what a good photographer he is. It's much more interesting when you get someone who takes beautiful pictures. And you can do that if you have a good camera. I do everything with my iPhone. I'm afraid that if I, and if you click on, oh no, sorry, that's Combs' photo, Combs, that's a different person. So you can see him. Okay, so that's other content, me. And then there's this button in the bottom middle. That's a button that you can press and you can show it to any living organism. It'll help you identify it. I'm not going to go there yet. I'm going to do one more thing. You can also do a long hold on that button. Watch. If I hold that green button on the bottom down, it gives me 5 options. Well, really 4. The one on the left is it goes to the camera. The one in the middle is it goes to a camera as the identifier. The right of that, you can actually click here and it takes you to your photos and watch what you can do. I already uploaded some of those, so I'll just show you. I'll click on that, this little bee, another version of that bee, and that little skipper. And well, that's maybe that fly. So that's how you can import photographs directly from your phone to the app without having to go on your computer. You press add. You can group them by clicking the top. You group them like that. A little bit hard to explain, but really nice feature. And then you press import 7 observations. ID that. It's loading it up. 97% sure that that's a 2-spotted bumblebee. So confident to click there and upload that. That's step 1. That's the first observation. ID this, which I think is just a plant. Yeah, foxglove beard tongue. Confirm that. Upload that. Another plant. You all probably know what that is. I'm not even coneflower. It's not sure what kind of coneflower. It looks like maybe a red sunflower, but I'm gonna leave that at the genus level. Upload that. Here's another bee. This is the last one I'll do, and then we'll move on. Bufflehead mason bee. To me, that's extraordinary that you can take a photograph of a bee that you've never heard of before, and now you know that it's a bufflehead mason bee. And if you think you upload that. I'm gonna get out of here. Ugh. Let me just finish uploading these. That's a leaf cutter bee. Upload that. Here's some kind of, I think it's a skipper of some kind. Tawny edge skipper. Upload that. Last one, some kind of a fly. That's hard. So it just gives you a subfamily. It's 85% sure it's in that subfamily. Flies are really, really complicated. And now all of those, as you see at the top, they're all uploading and they will be added to this list here. And that's just a running list of what's in your yard. You can, on the far left, you can click on the far left menu. There are projects, about, donate. iNaturalist is a nonprofit, exists exclusively on donations and foundations. And then you can also press explore at the bottom and you can just look around to see what's nearby. Or I don't really use that feature much. Okay, so I'm going to get out of here. And stop recording. Okay, so photographs, desktop tutorial, app tutorial. why iNaturalist, and then why with the Wildr score. So if you think about if these things you're finding now, you're going out, you're taking photographs, how incredible that they inform and tell the story of the ecological health of your yard as well as anything. So once you start uploading photographs to iNaturalist, at Planet Wild, if you've in the Less Lawn More Life campaign entered your address, we then can pull those observations and integrate those into your Wildr score, so that you'll be able to sort of tell the story in a simpler way of the ecological health of your yard in a way that we believe is really thrilling for people, understanding that and being able to communicate that, and then being able to improve that. Because, oh, I got a 65. How do I improve it? Well, there's obviously dozens of things that we and others can help you do to improve it. And as you keep taking observations, it becomes a finer score. Okay, I feel like that is hopefully enough. I'm going to stop sharing. And actually, it's hot in here, so I'm going to take off my sweatshirt and give it back to Joe. All right?
Okay, well, let's start maybe, Murray, with probably the most important one around. There's a new iNaturalist app that was the one that you were just showing. There's the iNaturalist Classic. Some folks are just downloading it for the first time, so they're wondering which one to download. And are there pros and cons between the two? Because they're still seeing the old one.
Yeah. So the iNat Classic is a little bit. It's one of those things where when you start using it, it makes tons of sense to you, but it was a little bit too complicated for people up front, which is why they developed this new app. So what I would encourage you to do is to use the new app, understanding that it's a tiny team at iNaturalist that is trying their best to create something that's simple and functional. Give them feedback, give us feedback, but the new app is probably the fewer hurdles to having success.
Yeah, so definitely if you haven't downloaded it yet, download the new one. That doesn't mean if you have the classic and you're enjoying it, everything, it's the same project page, it's the same, database on the back end, so you don't have to feel like you have to, get rid of the old one and adapt to the new one. But I think, Murray, and I heard this from the conversation this morning, that for a lot of the bigger functionality, other than just taking a photo, it's pretty good for search and things like that to be using, the desktop version as well, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Please spend time on the desktop. That's how you will learn more, understand more. And then the app won't be, I find people get blocked by the app a lot. It's photographs and then it's a community. The app is just the computer image recognition, but that functionality is on the desktop also. So if you're not comfortable with the app. Also, the other thing about the app is that if you don't have the right Wi-Fi or the right cell signal, it might not work well. I never like worrying about or dealing with that in the field. I just take photographs. I keep my best ones and I upload those when I'm at home with good Wi-Fi, and I'd recommend that strategy to everyone.
Awesome. Okay, we're getting some really great questions. So, June, do you want to just maybe
Yeah.
on some folks?
Yeah, so Debbie Hren, let me unmute you. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm going to ask to unmute you. You had some good questions. I'm going to take Murray off of the spotlight so he can see you if possible. Debbie, can you hear us? Are you still here? Looks like you're unmuted.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna do. It's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and answer her questions. Ask her questions. I've uploaded multiple observations of the same plant animal. Do I join their photos into one observation, or just
Yeah.
keep them? Yes. So how does she?
Yeah, so that's really important. It's if you think about a tree, it's hard to identify a tree by just the leaf. And so a tree is a good example that ideally you upload a photograph of the leaf, of the bark, and of the whole tree. Now I'm lazy and I don't always do that for all of them, but you're more likely to get a positive ID if you have multiple photographs of something from multiple angles. Definitely insects, it's best to have their underside and their top side and their side if you can. Of course, most of the time you can't. but best case scenario, multiple photographs. And then you group those photographs into one observation. And on the new app, there's a way to do that where you can group them or in any way, on the desktop, the old app or the new app, there's a way to group multiple photographs into one observation. And I can show people again on my phone if they want, because that's important.
Yeah, actually, it probably would be a good idea for you to, if you could do that.
Yeah, do you want me? Okay, I'll quickly do that.
And she also asked about, can she import pics from Google Photos? She doesn't see that option. It looks like she has to download it first, and I think that's what most of us have to do. I don't think iNat's integrated with Google Photos. I think you have to download and then upload.
I think that's right.
Okay.
All right, I'll do this real quick. Just to show people two things. Am I going? Yes.
Yep, you are.
Okay, here we go again. Bear with me. Okay, so this is important. I'll do a better job of showing how you group photographs for one observation. So you hold, well, this is on the new app. You hold the green button in, the one at the bottom with the sort of observation button. You hold that in and you click on the photograph option on the right. You click on that. They created this exclusively so that you could upload a lot of pictures and a lot of pictures about one. And so I'm going to do that wasp again, just because it's right there to make it easy. So let's say that I want to upload, I'll do the snail, the wasp, and the bumblebee. Okay. Those are 3 separate organisms, but multiple photographs. You click on add at the top right. And this is where you group them. You see that little circle on the top right. You do not need to click on that for the snail, but for the wasp, I click on it on the top right, top right, top right. And this little icon comes up. The one on the left, I don't know how to describe it, sort of 2 things. The one on the left at the bottom left is the grouping. And now you see it's taken those 3 wasp images and turned them into one observation. I'll do, oh, actually, you know what? I need to group this 4th one also. So you can still group those. Now all 4 of those are one. And I'll do the same thing with the bumblebee. Click on the top right again. You press that button on the bottom left. Now you're importing 3 observations, a snail, a wasp, and a bumblebee. But, you know, with grouped multiple photos. That's the way to do that. I don't want to do it because and then another thing I want to show you all real quick is I didn't show you the functionality around the actual identification button, which is the cool part. This is it says that this is mile a minute weed, but I just pulled it out of my garden and I know it's not.
There it is.
But it's in the knotweed family, and it's only because that's it. It's a Fallopia. I know that that's a genus Fallopia. And that's cool. That's never been. And then here's something right here. Eastern black walnut. Everybody see that? And you just press the button at the bottom. That's how you capture it. If you were outside analyzing. Oh, this is what, yeah. So for some reason, sometimes it'll do that. It'll say die cuts. Okay, that's annoying. This is an issue with the, I don't know why it does that. Oh, I guess it wasn't sure. It wasn't sure. Is it an Eastern black walnut or a black ash? I know it's a walnut, so I click on walnut. And I upload that, and then let's see how it does. One more over here. Whoops. One more here.
Murray, we lost your
Connection, yeah.
Oh, whoops. That's all right. That's okay. I'll come back over here.
A few folks were saying that they were getting that response that you just got. Is that
the die cuts again?
yeah.
Yeah, that was a
means,
question. Yeah.
It just means that it's not sure.
Okay.
And if you upload it as a die cut, that's fine. Someone will quickly come down and bring it into either a genus level or a species level. It's just getting the photograph up into the internet with some kind of a guess is the most important thing. And again, don't be intimidated by, I want to get the right thing, or that doesn't look smart, or whatever. Just upload it and people will come by and help you figure it out. Everyone understands that, you know, people are very helpful in the community to people who are new at iNaturalist.
Right. Great. And never mind, I'm not even gonna ask. A question came in from Kathy Stalgatis. Kathy, can I go ahead and unmute you and you can ask your question that you popped in the chat earlier? Or...
Hi, I asked if we should also be documenting non-native plants.
Yes, I think it's important to I think more information is better. I think it's great to know where non-native or invasive plants are. I think it's helpful for the computer image recognition to get smarter. It's helpful to understand ecologically what's in your yard. I even sometimes will just take a photograph of it, even if I'm going to rip it out, like that porcelain berry, which is a really bad one where we are, was here, but now it's gone. I use it to identify it, I guess is what I'm saying, and then I remove it. So more information, more data is better, absolutely.
Great.
Thank you.
What I will say is that iNaturalist is best for wild or native flora and fauna. And people may have heard of Picture This or there are other apps that may be better for garden ornamentals. And so iNaturalist is trying to catch up to that. It's mostly been used for sort of wildlife and less for garden ornamentals, but it wants to be able to be in that space as well. So as we upload more photographs and identify it as such and such an ornamental, it'll get smarter about that.
Great.
Thank you.
Sure.
Elaine Miller, you had a question that you put in the chat earlier?
Yes, so he mentioned that, sorry, Murray, you mentioned that somebody will just pick it up and identify it for you. So even if you're a new user and you're not following anybody, whatever, the community will just go find your stuff?
Yes. Now, as someone who wants, like I'm needy, I'll upload something and I'll be like, no one's confirmed that a beautiful thing I just uploaded. So there's a limited number of really high level identifiers who are just spending time going through all over the world, like, yes, that mushroom, or yes, that wasp, yes, that wasp. And so little by little, everyone in the community, it's happened to me also, we become more skillful at identifying things. And so people help each other out more. So it's a good habit to try to identify stuff while you're on, especially on the desktop. It's just a more comfortable place to go through and help other people identify. And it just depends on what it is. Like a bird will get immediately identified. There's lots of different wasps and bees that will go a long time without it because there are very few people that identify them. Some plants will, anyway, yes, you can just upload it and hope that the community identifies it. And that's what's this Less Lawn, More Life project. We will all be in there and hopefully we'll all be helping each other out in there. So it's sort of a micro project, micro community within the 5 million iNaturalist community.
Okay, so if you subscribe to that, then our community is going to see it maybe more readily.
Exactly, because it's just a smaller number of things to go through. And we're going to sort of be reiterating to people that it's about observation this week, but it's also about identification. So if you, I'm sure out of the 8,000 participants, there's some people who are really good at trees. Hopefully they'll hop on there and help out trees of New England, for example.
And it looked like there were lots of projects. And sorry, if I should quit asking questions, I can stop. Sorry.
Oh, great.
So you could be in more than one project, but the important thing for us is that we're in this project.
Yeah, you can join any number of projects. I'm in 30 projects. There's nothing limiting that, but this is the one that we're hoping people will focus on for this 12-week period. And then remember, as you're taking more observations, it'll feed into a Wildr score at the end that's going to be based on what actually is living in your property.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Leslie Gernon, You had an interesting question, speaking of trees.
Yeah, I happen to live on property with 100, 150-year-old trees, and they are way up there. And can you just photograph the bark, and that is sufficient to identify?
Yeah, that is an interesting problem. I do two things. One, yes, you can submit a photo of the bark, and it's a little bit tricky for some trees. You can do that. Try also to take a photograph of sort of the form of the tree. That matters if you can. And then zoom in as much as you can on a leaf, or maybe on a leaf on the ground. The more information you can submit, it's okay if you want to submit 12 pictures. The more information you submit, the easier it is for an identifier to confirm the identity of that. So if you upload a not very good picture of the trunk of a tree, it's unlikely to get identified unless it's like beech or, ash, maybe some of the more obvious ones.
Okay,
Murray,
thank
Murray, I'm going to build on that question.
Mhm.
So would you group those 3 photos together to make it easier
Yes.
to identify? Got it.
That's one observation, multiple photographs. Exactly.
Great. Let's see.
I can jump in on one, June, because the last
ahead.
from
Go.
Lilo Stevens. I don't
What's
know.
his name? What's his name?
Lilo, if I'm pronouncing that right, or Lilo
I see him.
Stevens.
I see him.
And this is a good one
You
because
should be unmuted, Lilo.
Okay, I'm here.
Hi.
Hello. I have been logging observations and trying to tag them to the Less Lawn, More Life challenge. And it works sometimes where I see that it has been attached to the project, and at other times I don't see anything. So I'm not sure if it's getting tagged, and I'm wondering if maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'm using the Android version of the app.
Well, one thing the way it should be is it should be that if you have joined the Less Lawn, More Life project,
Which I have, yeah.
yeah, then anything you observe during this time period should be in there. If not, there could be
Okay.
a couple things. One, there could be a setting. And you could go to your account settings on iNaturalist and make sure that you are sharing your observations, because there's a couple different settings there. So I would go to your settings
Okay.
on
Uh-huh.
the home page on the desktop.
Okay.
We found out from someone else who works with us that there was a really long lag time between when they were uploading an observation and when it was showing up in the project. And so
I
it
see. Uh-huh.
it might be some kind of we didn't have this problem last year, so it might be some kind of a new bug, but we really want to make sure, like, that should be pretty basic technology, that we want to make sure that if you're logging an observation, you shouldn't have to do anything else. You don't have to add it into the project. Should be just you take a photograph, you upload it, it's in the project.
Well, I
So
see the field that says add to project. I click on that. It does show that I have joined the Less Lawn, More Life project. And then when I tap on that, it doesn't, when I keep my finger on it, it'll stay green. But the moment that I lift my finger, it's unselected again, or at least it looks that way to me. So that's why I was
is
wondering.
this on your Android app?
It is, yes,
So
my
you know
Android
what?
phone.
I think try to the app is tricky. I would just try uploading photographs directly on the desktop and then looking for them directly on your in the project on your desktop. I would try that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Sure.
We have a question from Rochelle Rotunda. Rochelle, I think I've unmuted you.
Yeah, so I was wondering if there's an easy way to find the native ranges for what we're observing. Today, unfortunately, I have been using Picture This because it's really clear in Picture This. They've got the map and it's shaded green, so you know what's native. I'd prefer to just use one app, and I would prefer iNaturalist because it's plants and trees and bugs and birds.
Right.
But I can't seem to find native ranges. What I can find is where other people have observed the same thing I have, which is great, but doesn't tell me whether it's native or not.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. Here, let me just show you how I do that.
Okay, great.
real quick. Let's see. Okay, look, Japanese holly. That's a good one. Do you see that exclamation mark at the top with the purple?
Yep.
You click on that, it says introduced in Westchester County, arrived in the region via anthropogenic means. It doesn't show you the range, and I haven't used picture this, and that does sound like it would be nice, but it does on anything that's not native to your region, it does this exclamation mark to alert you of it. And then if you want to click on Japanese holly, introduce the United States, and then here, there's everything. Here you have a map of where it is. And you're right. That doesn't necessarily show where it's native, but
Right.
you know that it's introduced. You have the seasons here, shows the seasons, taxonomy. There's a lot of information about them once you click on it, but the best thing is just to look for whether or not it's native with that one exclamation mark. Again, on the desktop. I think it's the best place to sort of become familiar with it. Yeah, and iNaturalist, and picture this is a Chinese for-profit company that scrapes all their data from iNaturalist. And iNaturalist is a tiny little nonprofit out of San Francisco that doesn't make any money from all that data going over there. And so I definitely feel like, and you're right, for me, it wasn't even because I just wanted something that I could take a picture of, a snake, a bug, a plant, a tree, and also that could catalog it over time this way. So I would.
Yeah, no, it's great for that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see. No, you can't see it.
I can't, but that's.
Sorry, but it's really, that's the nicest thing about picture this is you can very quickly see what's native.
Okay.
That might just be something for the future.
Yeah, I'm writing that down for them. We talk to iNaturalist once every couple of days, and they want it to be really user friendly. So that's might be a feature that they could put in there.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh wait, I got to stop sharing. Sorry. Okay.
Hi, Terry Wolfer. You had a question about photos you're taking?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we should try to keep track of photos that we take in our yard for the Less Lawn project. Keep those separate from photos we take elsewhere.
No, I can take that one. You don't have to worry about it. When you take a photo, it captures the metadata, and so it actually knows where that image was taken. And so when we do the integration for the Wildr score, pulling in your iNat observations, we're only going to be pulling in the ones that are within a certain radius of the property that you decided to measure. So you don't have to worry about it. We're just pulling those in, and we'll only pull those.
That said, Terry, there's something that you could do that might be that I did that I would encourage other people who have time or are interested to do. I created a place on iNaturalist. And if you just type in how to create a place, I created a place on iNaturalist and then made that was my backyard and made a project about my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so that way I know, independent of the Less Lawn, More Life or of the Wildr, I just know I have an ongoing record of everything that has happened in my actual yard, and that's my own project. And it's kind of, that would be I would encourage people, if they have the time or the inclination, to create a place. You have to do a little geographic boundary around your yard, and then to make a project of that.
And
Murray, tell everybody
go ahead.
Tell everybody how many species you've identified on your property since you started.
Thousands. Literally thousands. It's crazy. I had no clue. I was not into all this as much after until iNaturalist.
And Murray, the best place to set this up is on the desktop version, correct?
Definitely on the desktop. I literally just typed into Google how to create a place on iNaturalist, and it took you right to a tutorial, and you just walk through 5 steps.
Yep.
That takes 5 minutes.
Great.
I'll just take a quick one while you look for the next one, June.
Okay.
Someone's asking, what is the Wildr project?
Yeah, I was looking at that one too.
Yeah, the only thing we're, as part of the Less Lawn, More Life challenge the project that we're asking you to join is Less Lawn, More Life Challenge. And there's 2 in there. One was last year's, and this one, it'll just say 2025. In terms of the Wildr score, there's no project around it. There's nothing. When we send everybody a link to take the Wildr score again at the end of the challenge, we'll go ahead and pull in the observations from the challenge.
Murray, there are a number of questions from a number of different people about Seek versus the classic versus the current. And I know you have some opinions about whether people should use one or the other, or keep them or discard the old ones.
I think what iNaturalist was doing is they had iNaturalist Classic for many, many years, and they created Seek mostly for kids. But then what happened is it became more popular than the iNaturalist app because it had the feature that people loved where you just hold the camera up to something and it tells you immediately what it is. So they decided, let's try to make a new app that takes all of the community generated user data of the old iNaturalist, and then that functionality of Seek that also Picture This has that people like, that you can hold it up and immediately get an identification. So the new app is an attempt to take the best of Seek and the best of iNat Classic. And I would say I would say that it's an ongoing project for them. They just released it a couple weeks ago. It's kind of in beta mode, and you can report any bugs or any feedback. It's really, I think it's important for us to help make that a really great app that does what Seek did, which is get people kind of hooked because they immediately see what the organism is.
Great. I think we're getting pretty far, and Chris is answering a lot of the questions in the chat too. So if we want to take a few more minutes, people can use the raise hand feature, and if they have any questions or
Great.
did get a chance to ask any, if I missed it somehow, please go ahead and just use the raise hand feature.
And while folks do that, I'll just throw in one more. There was a question from David about how do you change the licensing of your photo on your photos?
Oh yeah, the settings, yeah.
So the
I saw
default is Creative Commons. Can I make them public domain?
I don't know.
Okay.
I did notice when I was looking at settings today in the account settings, there are, if you go into your to the desktop version and look at your profile, where you have your little icon, your photo, and pull it down, there's account settings, and there is a whole section on how you set your permissions on your content, and it has little icons that you can click on to find out what that means, because I didn't have time to look on each one, but it'll explain each setting and what each licensing agreement means so that you're clear on what you're sharing or what you choose not to. Okay.
Awesome.
Any other questions from folks? One new message here. I'm seeing a heart. I think that's
All right.
that's about it.
Yeah, we don't have to go all the way till 6 or whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you all so much for joining, and we will be around to help out and get out there and try and take and observe at least 50 observations this week.
And I'll give everybody a hint, a pro tip, only telling for the folks that joined. There's the goal is to take as many observations as possible. Like Murray said, 50 is our target of anything that's living on your land. But in terms of improving your Wildr score, it's the birds, it's the insects, and it's the trees. And as much diversity in those three categories as possible. But in terms of contributing to science through iNaturalist and even through Wildr score, we're going to be analyzing all of the data to continue to make the score more accurate, right? And more refined. So the more, the better. Okay.
I have not been watching the chat, but it looks like that's still going furiously. I hope someone is continuing.
Yes, it's just people have been. Here's one last question.
Yeah.
I've been planting natives in my yard for a few years. Should I be listing these as cultivated? From Nicole Sova.
There's a lot of questions around cultivated or not, and you're supposed to mark it when you observe it if it's cultivated or not. If you planted it or someone planted it or it's inside or it's in a cage or anything like that, you're supposed to mark it as not wild or cultivated. So remember to do that. That's a good question about a native plant that you planted 5 years ago. I get confused about that. I think technically you should put it as cultivated, but I now have seen a bunch of ones that are the babies of those around, and I mark those as wild. So, but yeah, if you or someone, if it has been planted by a human in the time frame that you know, that you're aware of, I would mark it as cultivated. That's a really
Wow.
important question.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you all so much.
so
Thanks.
much, everybody.
Okay,
Photos.
bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks,
All right.
Marie.
Thank you.
Thanks, June. Thanks, Chris. Bye, guys.